Hi everybody, Cynthia Hash here, Find Homes Realty. Hope you're doing well. I want to continue my series on how the NAR lawsuits will affect you. And this one's about the seller. How's it going to affect you? Bear with me, this is a little longer than I expected. Oh, and by the way, pop into our YouTube channel and see if you can subscribe to that. That would be awesome. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to make sure your home is as marketable as possible. We want to expose it to as many buyers as we possibly can. Making your home cost more money only makes you a little bit more money, but makes way fewer buyers interested in buying it. Okay? If the purpose of the lawsuits is to reduce home prices by reducing commissions, I'm going to tell you that's not what you're really doing. That's not what's going to be happening. It's instead going to they're trying to reduce commissions and, basically plus you keep all the money as a seller. Well, what you're doing is actually making it more expensive. So it's completely defeating the what they think their purpose is for these lawsuits. FHA, Fannie Mac, Freddie Mac have all confirmed that their policy has been in place for years, and that is that the seller and or the listing broker can pay the buyer broker's agent commission. So the VA has always had the same policy for their veteran buyers and borrowers. So let's say the buyer's lender says you're not allowed to build the buyer agent commissions in to the loan. So you have to pay an appraisal fee out of pocket. You're not allowed to finance the first 6 months of the homeowner's insurance, etc. So there's closing costs that are normally financed inside the loan. FHA, for instance, you can get as much as 6%. And the great news is that, hey, and it's not news, again, it's just a confirmation that the interested parties' contributions, that's included, can be included in like the 6% for seller concessions. We'll go over that later. But what this does is it's saying, these closing costs can normally be financed inside the loan, but if the lender starts saying no because the DOJ says we can't finance the buyer broker commission, well, that's a problem. So why does it really matter if the seller doesn't want to offer a buyer broker commission? Well, technically, as a buyer's agent, I'm going to get paid the same amount because the NAR will be requiring in July of 2024 that every buyer agent must have a signed buyer broker agreement even before showing the first house, the first property, the first piece of land, the first townhouse, anything. Your property, therefore, as the seller, isn't going to sell as fast if you're not offering cooperative brokerage commission on that property. Well, and guess what else? The buyers are going to cross off their list anything that they are going to have to pay their buyer broker outside of the transaction or coming out of their pocket and not being able to borrow that. Okay? What that ends up doing is it reduces your exposure to fewer buyers. Okay, now let's take this and say, or if buyers choose not to hire a buyer's agent, what is that going to do? So what that does is it creates another serious problem. It's called dual agency. That really means that the listing agent is trying to walk that tightrope to represent both the buyer and the seller equally. Well, that equates to no agency whatsoever, in my opinion, because it's humanly impossible to 100% equally represent two sides of any transaction. This increases the liability for the one agent. There are some brokerages that don't allow their agents to do dual agency. It decreases the proper representation to both the buyer and the seller. And essentially the seller just lost their agent, who was supposed to represent them and only them. Okay, or what if the buyer comes to the listing agent saying they don't have any representation? They don't really know what they're doing, even if they are saying that they're experienced. None of these scenarios require the listing agent to reduce their commission. Both of these scenarios will likely create more lawsuits. And frankly, fewer happy clients. And far more transactions blowing up and falling through without our professional help. So what if the buyer says they want the contract to state that the seller will be paying the buyer's agent? We're going to have appraisal issues, because the appraisal will have to be inflated over the listing price. Okay, I wish those days were over, okay, because we've had enough of those. If you, as the seller, didn't include the commissions into your list price, and then you put it into the contract, so the results, and you say, hey, no, it's going to have to, as the seller, we're going to have to increase the list price in order to cover that. Well, the results in the home or the property not appraising for the new price that's X% over the list price, that's what this results in. And so therefore the sellers are asking for trouble if they don't include all the commissions in the list price when they put their house on the market. But if you want to do that, that's fine. Everything's negotiable. Doesn't really affect my income, because as a buyer broker, I'm still going to have to get that buyer to sign that. But I owe it to you as an advisor to make sure you understand the truth about what's going on here. Sure, it's all negotiable, but you're going to hurt yourself in some negotiations. The consumer gets what they pay for. Discount realtor equals less service, less communication, fewer skills. Home prices will not be reduced. Home prices will actually be inflated again. Buyers don't even want to look at homes that will cost them more money. I mean, the home that's sitting there for $450 listed down the street and is $450, and then yours is $450 plus X% to pay the buyer broker commission. Well, the buyer says, hey, I'll go for the one that includes all that for the X% and includes it. So that house is going to sell before yours. So what does this do? It contributes to the sad financial divide that's happening in our country right now, and we don't want that to happen. And we know that this works, and it's been working well and so far. And we want to help you make the right decision and include the buyer broker commission in your list price. All right? Well, thank you very much. Again, try our YouTube channel and subscribe. Sorry for this one being a little bit longer, but we appreciate your patience, and hopefully this has helped you.